Hi, I'm Ben Motyka. I'll be doing my informative speech today. Professor Carver's COMS 101 class. My audience, my chaplain, Samuel Almos, and his wife, Monica Almos, and my wife, Liz, is actually controlling the camera at the moment, so that's good to go. Just beginning my speech with a quote from Scripture, Isaiah 46, verses 3 through 4. Listen to me, O house of Jacob, all you who remain of the house of Israel, you whom I have upheld since you were conceived, and have carried since your birth. Even to your old age and gray hairs, I am he. I am he who will sustain you. I have made you, and I will carry you. I will sustain you, and I will rescue you. And just a quick note on my speech, you can probably hear the helicopter in the background. We are on an Army airfield with helicopters, so my apologies, it would probably be a little loud. The topic that I'm going to be talking about today in my speech is the topic of suicide. Suicide is a tremendous problem that's happening within our military. To quote a source from the Huffington Post, within the first 155 days of this year, there have been 154 suicides that have been recorded for the active duty troops. Doing that rough number, obviously that's just about one suicide every day for the first 155 days of our current year. That's a pretty tremendous number when you think about it, when you look at it. As we learned from our previous scripture verses in Isaiah, God values human life. Roughly paraphrasing Isaiah in my own words, God essentially cares about us even before we're born. Before our parents have a plan for us, before we come into this existence, God knows about us, He's thinking about us, and He has a plan to create us so we can interact and be in the world and all that sort of stuff. So God places a value on human life. And with that value, of course, on human life, it extends over to our members of the armed forces. As I said before, the goal of my speech today is to talk about just kind of suicide in the Army, the problem that it presents to the Army community, how it impacts the life of the military as far as how the community goes, but also how the Army, in recognizing that problem, has implemented the Applied Suicide Intervention Skills Training, or for short, the ASSIST program, to kind of deal with that problem that it faces with suicide. As I said before, suicide has a tremendous impact on the Army community. I can attest from personal experience, having worked with soldiers who have lost a friend or a family member to suicide in the military, how it impacts the community as a whole. From day one of our basic training, Marines, airmen, sailors, soldiers, we have a high emphasis placed on teamwork and dependence on one another. You learn from day one that you have to be able to rely on the person to your left and to your right to help you to make it through all the struggles that you're going to go through in training and in war and all that sort of stuff. And in that environment that's fostered with teamwork, it's important to see how suicide affects that. It is a huge impact when you have to look in your formation to the left of you, where the person who was there yesterday and they're not here anymore because of the unfortunate death of suicide that occurred there. A lot of times with this, you get people that have a lot of guilt and a lot of questions that come up. What could I have done to make a difference? What could I have done to intervene, if you will, in that person and try to make a difference? So it definitely has a huge impact on us as a military community, and not just as a community, but within the individual units themselves. It definitely impacts unit cohesion in that sense of the word. The military community in itself isn't so much a job like you would think of a regular job in the civilian world kind of idea, but it really is sort of a profession of arms. And it's almost its own culture in a way, the way that we interact and depend on each other and have to work in teamwork. So suicide definitely has a huge impact with that. Formerly, the armed forces in the military itself, more specifically the Army, started to realize the problem of suicide, as we said earlier with our quote from the Huffington Post, 154 in the first 155 days. The Army formally adopted the ASSIST program in 2009 as its suicide intervention training program that it was going to use. And the ASSIST program essentially is a way for an individual to work with someone who is having thoughts of suicide or who has stated that they are thinking about committing suicide. In particular, the ASSIST program uses what's called the suicide intervention model, which basically is a set of conversational skills that people work with, they learn in the training program itself. They learn how to essentially talk to people who are having thoughts of suicide and learn how to work with a person to get them out of that bad situation that they're in so that they can get over and get the help that they need. Being a master trainer in the ASSIST program, I'm blessed with the opportunity and the skills to be able to actually train other service members on how to do this. And it's very rewarding. It's very nice to be able to train a soldier or a Marine or a sailor, whatever, in the ASSIST program, and then have them come back to you a few days later and say, hey, you know, I was able to help someone who was having thoughts of suicide the other day because of what we learned in the ASSIST program. So it's very rewarding to be able to do that. In conclusion, I would just like to say that the military in general has done a lot better job of assessing kind of the impact of suicide and what it does to the military community. As we learned earlier, 154 deaths in the first 155 years. That's a huge, tremendous impact. And giving the Army and the military's emphasis on teamwork, depending on one another, and being a family in a sense, one suicide is one too many. So thank you for listening. God bless.